Texting fails, office chaos, and family drama, how communication goes hilariously wrong. Ever accidentally start a war with just a K? Or maybe you've misread a text and thought someone was breaking up with you. From autocorrect disasters to email blunders and office chaos, this podcast dives into all the funny, awkward, and downright confusing moments in communication. Get ready to laugh, cringe, and nod in recognition as we explore the everyday mess that is texting, emails, calls, and more. Communication mishaps we've all had, a comedy breakdown. Whether you're texting your friend, emailing your boss, or trying to sound cool in a formal message, we've all been there, misinterpreting, miscommunicating, and, let's face it, just plain messing things up. Today, we're diving into the hilarious world of communication mishaps that happen daily, from autocorrect disasters to the text that says K and somehow spirals into an argument. And trust me, we've all been there. So, grab your headphones, get comfy, and let's laugh our way through these everyday communication fails. When autocorrect turns you into a poet by accident, imagine typing a simple text to your friend saying "can't wait for lunch," but your phone decides to get all Shakespearean on you, turning that into "can't wait for this magnificent repast." You'd think your phone was auditioning for a literary award. Funny. Yes. Useful. Not so much. Let's talk about how we can laugh about it, but also how autocorrect can cost you a job opportunity when it changes meeting to something else entirely. Social media. I once sent a message that said, "Let's grab lunch at noon," autocorrected to "Let's grab lunch at nudes." Yup. That was an awkward conversation to clean up. How a simple K can spark a texting war. We've all sent the dreaded K. That simple, one-letter response that has sent relationships into turmoil. Is it passive-aggressive? Is it rude? Does it mean, "I'm done with this conversation"? Let's unpack how a single letter can cause texting wars, and why context is everything in the world of emojis, abbreviations, and quick texts. Social media. A friend once texted me a long paragraph about their day, and I responded with a K. That was it. A 5-minute message boiled down to one letter. Can you guess how that conversation went? Spoiler alert, it didn't end well. The art of misinterpreting sarcasm over text. Sarcasm is hard enough to understand in person. Add text, and it's a minefield. You might think you're being clever with a sarcastic comment, but your friend reads it in the most literal way possible. We've all had that moment when we realize that our "oh, great" actually sounded like "I'm so mad I could scream." Social media. Ever texted, "Oh, just great"? And somehow, the person you're texting thinks you're genuinely excited? Yeah, I've been there. When someone says "let's talk" and you know it's serious, we've all received the "let's talk" text. Whether it's from a friend, a partner, or, gulp, your boss, that simple phrase instantly raises your anxiety level. What could it be? A breakup? A job firing? A lecture about your email habits? You just know it's going to be intense. But don't panic. Let's laugh about how we all interpret that phrase in the most extreme ways. Why voice notes are either 10 seconds or 10 minutes. No in between. Voice notes are a new breed of communication. You either get a brief, 10-second message, or you're stuck listening to a 10-minute monologue. There's no happy medium. You press play, and either it's a short answer or you've just started a podcast episode with one person. Social media. I sent a voice note that was supposed to be a quick update but ended up being a rambling 12-minute tale about my shopping experience. The listener was not amused. When you reread your own email and realize you sound angry, we've all been there. You've carefully crafted the perfect email in a professional tone, but when you read it back, it sounds like you're ready to rip someone's head off. And now you have to rewrite it without sounding like a robot or a psychopath. Let's talk about the art of editing our email tone and not making it sound like we've had too much coffee. Calls, when you're muted, becomes the new catchphrase. Let's face it, we've all been on a or work call where someone's speaking passionately about a topic, but their mic is muted. "You're muted" has become the new catchphrase of the digital age. Let's dive into the humor of virtual meetings and how we all secretly hate them, yet we keep scheduling them. The eternal struggle of trying to sound casual in a formal email. Trying to sound casual but still professional in a formal email is a delicate balancing act. Do you go for the "hi there," or the "dear sir/madam"? And when you close, do you sign off with "best, cheers," or "warm regards"? We'll talk about that line between being too stiff and too familiar, and how to avoid sounding like you've completely missed the mark. How group chats always go off topic within 2 minutes. Group chats are meant to be for serious discussions, right? Wrong. Within 2 minutes, everyone's talking about their pets, their favorite memes, or debating pineapple on pizza. Let's laugh about how quickly we abandon the original topic in group chats. When "let's catch up soon" actually means "see you in 3 years." Ever had someone text you "let's catch up soon" and you know it's a polite way of saying, "I'm not actually going to make any effort to meet up anytime soon"? Let's explore how soon often translates to maybe next decade. Workplace communication comedy hour. We've all been there, sitting in a meeting, staring blankly at the screen while a corporate speak hurricane whirls around you. From "per my last email" to "can I see you in my office," workplace communication is full of traps, misunderstandings, and, of course, comedy gold. In this episode, we'll dive into the funniest and most awkward moments that make the workplace an endless source of humor. So grab your coffee, or whatever helps you get through those conference calls, and let's get to it. Why "per my last email" is office code for "can you not?" Let's be real, "per my last email" isn't just a polite reminder, it's a passive-aggressive nudge that says, "Are you even reading my emails?" It's the unspoken code that lets you know you've just crossed a line in email etiquette. Ever had one of those emails that made you question your life choices? Let's laugh at how this line is the universal weapon of passive office aggression. The struggle of keeping a straight face in pointless meetings. The endless cycle of meetings that could have been emails. We all know the type. Let's discuss the project timeline, when the only timeline is your calendar reminding you of how many hours you'll never get back. Let's talk about how to keep a straight face when people throw around jargon with absolutely no purpose. How everyone becomes a professional copy-paster in team chats. You've seen it, that one person who's got their finger on copy-paste faster than you can say team synergy. The constant repetition of phrases like "I'll follow up on that" and "noted" can give anyone a case of repetitive stress disorder. Real life examples? Absolutely. Let's get into it. Touching base, why every email needs this phrase. If you've ever sent or received an email that includes the phrase "touching base," then you know it's time for a generic update that's about as useful as a paperclip in a hurricane. We'll dissect how this phrase became corporate code for "I'm too busy to do anything, but I'm still here." When your boss sends a "can I see you in my office" email. Oh, the dreaded email. This simple phrase is the email equivalent of a horror movie jump scare. We'll share the classic reaction: "Did I forget something? Did I make a mistake?" Spoiler alert, it's usually nothing, but the anxiety it causes is comedy gold. Decoding corporate speak, what "we'll circle back" really means. We'll circle back on that, a phrase that has no actual meaning but still somehow makes you feel like you're in the loop. Ever wonder what that really means? Spoiler alert, it usually means we've forgotten about it, and we don't really care. When someone hits reply all by mistake. The reply all button, the most terrifying button in the corporate world. One wrong click and suddenly, your personal thoughts on that hilarious meme are shared with your entire office. Let's laugh at how reply all has ruined many a professional reputation. Conference calls, where everyone talks and no one listens. Let's be honest, we've all been on conference calls where everyone's talking, but no one's actually listening. It's the ultimate game of who can talk the longest without saying anything of importance. It's like a sport, only more awkward. The awkwardness of mispronouncing a colleague's name twice. Calling a colleague by the wrong name once. Embarrassing. Twice. It's a corporate tragedy. We all know the struggle of mispronouncing a name and then having to pretend you didn't just make it worse. Why everyone lies about having great communication skills on resumes. We've all seen it, the resume boasting excellent communication skills from someone who can barely string a sentence together. Let's have a laugh about how this phrase gets tossed around more than a frisbee at a picnic. Social media communication. Social media. How a seen message feels like a punch to the heart. The dreaded seen notification on messaging apps. You've just sent a heartfelt message, and seconds later, the cold, emotionless seen stamp appears. But wait, why haven't they replied? We've all been there. It's like the social media version of ghosting but with a passive-aggressive twist. Real-life examples like texting a friend about meeting up for dinner and them casually seeing it without responding become comically awkward moments for us all. Instagram comments, where emojis replace real words. Let's face it, Instagram comments have become a language of their own. Emojis are the new punctuation, and the thumbs up is practically a full sentence. But here's the kicker, people have been debating the subtle differences between the fire emoji and the heart emoji. Each one holds a deeper meaning. Are you encouraging a friend's workout progress with the flex emoji, or just showing appreciation with the clapping hands? Let's dive into the awkward world of overanalyzing emojis. The dangers of posting before proofreading. Ever posted something, only to realize it had a glaring typo or autocorrect disaster? We've all experienced the cringe moment when you post a text, only for the internet to remind you how very wrong you are. Typos aren't just embarrassing, they can lead to some of the most awkward replies and social media blunders. Let's talk about the importance of proofreading before hitting that post button. Why people argue in Facebook comments like they're in court. There's something about Facebook comment sections that turns casual conversations into heated debates. Someone's opinion on a seemingly harmless topic will get a 10-comment long defense, like it's the Supreme Court. Let's explore the psychology behind Facebook arguments, why people take offense over minor issues, and how we can find humor in it all. The struggle of replying to a story without sounding stalker-ish. Responding to someone's story feels like a game of social media Jenga. One wrong move, and it's game over. You don't want to come off as creepy, but you also don't want to seem indifferent. We'll share tips on how to reply without looking like you're lurking, plus how to strike that perfect balance between casual and engaged. How one missed like on your friend's post becomes a big deal. You might think it's just a small gesture, but missing a like on a friend's post can snowball into an all-consuming issue. Did they see my post? Why didn't they like it? Let's laugh through the social media politics of liking and why it's such a big deal. No one's safe from the likeception. The people who send good morning messages in every group chat. Some people wake up with the need to tell everyone in the group chat good morning. But when the chat's been silent for days, the awkwardness skyrockets. Let's explore why this daily tradition has turned into the social media equivalent of a group hug, and whether there's such a thing as too much positivity. When you accidentally like a post from 5 years ago. That horrifying moment when your finger slips, and suddenly you've liked a post from 2018. Panic ensues. You scramble to unlike it, but it's too late, everyone's seen it. We'll share personal anecdotes and how to gracefully navigate this unfortunate, but hilarious, moment. Why unfriending someone online feels like declaring war. Unfriending someone online seems innocent enough, but it's like declaring war in the social media world. We'll break down the awkward aftermath of hitting that unfriend button, why it's never really just a simple click, and how the drama unfolds afterward. How Twitter arguments always start over the dumbest things. Twitter arguments are an art form in themselves. Someone posts a mild opinion, and before you know it, it's trending complete with 50+ tweets back and forth over the most trivial issues. We'll dig into why Twitter fights are always over the silliest things and how social media thrives on these hilarious exchanges. Phone and text communication. Social media. When your parents call instead of texting and it feels suspicious. Real life social media. I remember the first time my parents called me, and I had a mini panic attack. Why are they calling me? I thought, is someone hurt? Did I forget something important? Turns out, they just wanted to tell me about a coupon they found at the store. Classic. Comedic twist, the tension of answering the phone, thinking it's an emergency, only to hear, "Hey, I was just wondering what brand of milk you buy." Why it resonates, generation gap and the discomfort with phone calls versus texting. Why millennials fear phone calls like they're ghosts. Real life case study, millennials, myself included, are more likely to let a phone ring out than answer it. Why? Because texting is just easier. No need for small talk or awkward pauses. A phone call feels like an obligation. Comedic twist, the guilt you feel when your phone rings and you don't pick up, followed by the inner monologue of, "Is this the end of my social life? Who dis?" When you forgot to save someone's number. Relatable example, we've all been there. You get a text from an unknown number, and it's someone you should probably remember, but who exactly? Is it a coworker? An old classmate? A telemarketer? Comedic twist, the awkwardness of texting back, "Who is this?" Or, "Sorry, I lost your number." How a missed call turns into a full family investigation. Real life social media. A missed call from a family member? It feels like a crime scene investigation. Who was it? Why didn't you answer? Are we in trouble? Suddenly, you're interrogated like you're in a spy thriller. Humor, the overanalysis of a missed call, complete with a recon mission to find out what it was about. When a text notification turns out to be spam. Comedic twist, the ultimate lucky winner text. You get excited for a split second, then reality hits, it's spam. Even worse is that it's a scam, asking you to click a suspicious link. Relatable example, the texts from Amazon or Apple asking you to verify your account because someone tried to use your card. Classic. Why typing haha feels more polite than LOL. Real life observation, it's a universal truth, LOL can feel insincere, while haha feels like you really enjoyed the joke. But why do we feel the need to make sure the other person knows we actually laughed at their meme? Comedic twist, typing haha like it's the official response to every joke, whether it's funny or not. Voicemails, who still leaves them and why? Funny social media voicemails are a mystery. Who leaves them? Why? It's like a relic from the past, and yet somehow, they're still around. Relatable example, the moment when someone leaves a voicemail and you're just left thinking, should I listen to this or pretend I didn't get it? When you accidentally send the wrong text to the wrong group. Real life story, the classic wrong text to the wrong group chat moment. You try to joke with your friend and accidentally send it to the family group chat. Suddenly, everyone's involved in the drama. Humor, how quickly you hit unsend, but it's already too late. Why people call when you're in the shower and never any other time. Funny observation, it's like they know. The moment you hop in the shower, your phone starts ringing off the hook. Why does this happen? Why not when you're sitting at your desk, ready for a call? Comedic twist, the dilemma of finishing your shower, getting out, and seeing a missed call from someone who never calls any other time. The anxiety of typing, and seeing someone stop typing back. Real life story, there's that heart-dropping moment when you're texting someone and you see them typing, but then, they stop. Suddenly, all you can think is, what went wrong? Did I say something dumb? Comedic twist, the mind games that follow anxiety, waiting, and then they finally respond, but it's just K. Relationships and communication, the hilarious truths we never talk about. Why we need to talk is the scariest sentence ever, that moment when you hear those words and suddenly your mind goes into overdrive. Is it a breakup talk? Did I do something wrong? We all know that sinking feeling. I once heard this line from my partner and spent the next 24 hours preparing for a dramatic breakup scene, only to be told it was about the dishes. Talk about emotional roller coasters. The art of arguing without actually saying you're arguing. Let's be real, relationships are all about those discussions where no one admits it's an argument. You know, when you're both talking at the same time, both convinced you're right, but no one is raising their voice, yet. We've all been there, haven't we? A passive-aggressive comment here, a cold stare there, and suddenly it's an hour-long standoff without either party saying a word. Classic. When you ask, "Are you okay?" and they say, "I'm fine," this is the ultimate relationship riddle. When they say "I'm fine," and you know deep down that something is not fine, but they won't open up. It's like trying to decode an ancient script, except the only clue you have is the remote control being thrown at your face. The struggle of decoding your partner's texts. Let's talk texts. Why is it that when someone texts K instead of OK, you feel like the whole relationship is in jeopardy? The passive-aggressive fine in a text can completely change the trajectory of your day. Should you send the "Are you upset?" text, or just ignore it? Trust me, it's more complicated than any mystery novel. How compliments sometimes sound like insults. "You look less tired today." Compliments. The line between a sweet compliment and a backhanded insult is razor thin. You ever gotten the "you look less tired today" comment? "Oh yeah, thanks, I guess, for not looking like a zombie today." It's a compliment, but with a sprinkle of "you usually look like you're about to pass out." Why couples argue over where to eat every single time. No one has ever been more indecisive than a couple trying to decide where to eat. It's a saga that lasts longer than most romantic relationships. You'd think it's easy until it's not. The endless cycle of "I don't know, what do you want?" is a classic. When you read between the lines and still get it wrong, when they text, "Do whatever you want," and you go ahead and do something, only to realize that was not the answer they wanted. You know that feeling when you read between the lines so hard, you've practically entered an alternate dimension and you still get it wrong? The overuse of "love you" at the end of calls, even to your cable provider. Have you ever ended a conversation with your cable company and said "love you" without even realizing it? It's as if "love you" has become the automatic sign-off for everything, from family chats to customer service calls. Just another modern communication quirk. Why "I'm almost ready" means 45 more minutes. Let's break this down. "I'm almost ready" equals "I haven't even started." This phrase will make you late every time. Every time. You'll be waiting for what seems like an eternity, only to find out that the "almost" was just a cruel joke. Family communication. The art of avoiding family WhatsApp groups. Social media. Picture this: you're added to a family WhatsApp group you never wanted to be in. Instant flood of messages, memes, birthday wishes, and the dreaded "everyone must respond to this" chain message. We've all been there, wondering how to gracefully exit or mute the group without causing World War III. Relatable case study. Share a funny family scenario where someone accidentally exited the group chat, only to be dragged back in with the obligatory "Did you leave us?" comment. Why parents use full names when they're mad at you. Social media. The dreaded moment when your parent uses your full name. That's when you know you've crossed the line. It's like your name is suddenly a weapon, wielded for maximum emotional impact. Example: why did my mom call me Jacob Robert Franklin today? I've only been gone for 5 minutes. What could I have possibly done? When relatives overcommunicate during holidays. Social media. There's always that one relative who texts all the time during the holidays: "Are you coming over? Do you want pie or cake? I just sent you the recipe for eggnog again. Did you get it?" Case study: Why do some families feel the need to over-communicate, even when everyone is on the same page? Explore the chaos and humor in overthinking holiday plans. Why mom's okay feels like an insult. Social media. You've just told your mom something huge, and she responds with the most dreaded, emotionless word, okay. You can feel the disappointment radiating through the screen. How grandparents type everything in capital letters. Social media grandparents' texts are a mystery, everything in all caps. What are they yelling at you about? It's probably nothing, but their excitement or urgency seems to be matched only by their inability to use lowercase letters. Relatable case: share a funny text exchange with a grandparent where the all-caps message took you completely off guard. Call your aunt. The eternal family communication directive. Social media. That moment when your mom calls and says, "Have you called your aunt?" like you've committed a grave social crime. It's an annual ritual, one that never fails to pop up around holidays. Relatable example: discuss the unspoken expectation of maintaining family ties, even when you'd rather binge watch Netflix in peace. The drama of giving bad news to your family. Social media. Delivering bad news to your family is like preparing for a Broadway performance. Will they cry? Get angry? Or pretend everything's fine until it's not? Share the comedic struggles of family drama and how to soften the blow. Why every family conversation starts with "back in my day." Social media. Every time you visit the family, someone inevitably starts a conversation with "back in my day," as if the world was in black and white and they were walking uphill both ways to school. Case study: explore the nostalgia trend and how it can turn even the most mundane family gatherings into an old-timey lesson in history. How to survive a family group call without losing your mind. Social media family group calls are like a circus: chaotic, confusing, and full of unexpected surprises. Everyone talks over each other, nobody remembers why they called, and someone inevitably gets kicked out of the conversation. Example: tips on how to survive the mute button and keeping your sanity intact during family group calls. Why family meetings always go off topic within minutes. Social media family meetings are supposed to be about logistics and plans, but they somehow devolve into discussions about your uncle's new hat, Aunt Linda's obsession with gardening, and a heated debate about who ate the last cookie. Case study: show how family meetings are a microcosm of every family dynamic, always straying off topic but somehow still useful. Cross-cultural communication: navigating the hilarious world of global communication. Why Americans say "Hi, how are you?" but don't want an answer. Let's kick things off with the classic American greeting. You've probably been there. Someone asks, "How are you?" and before you can say, "I'm doing well, thanks for asking," they've already moved on. Why does this happen? In American culture, casual greetings often serve as a social ritual, not an actual inquiry into your well-being. We'll dive into how this works and share some funny anecdotes about the times when we accidentally broke this unspoken rule. When you realize yes doesn't always mean yes in other cultures. Picture this: you ask someone from another culture, "Can you come to the meeting tomorrow?" and they answer, "Yes." But, guess what? They don't actually mean yes. In some cultures, a yes can be a polite form of acknowledgement rather than confirmation. We'll share stories of how this has led to some hilarious misunderstandings and how to avoid the trap of thinking yes means I agree everywhere. Why hand gestures can get you in trouble abroad. We all use hand gestures, but in some parts of the world, a simple wave or thumbs up can send the wrong message. Imagine casually giving a thumbs up in the wrong country, only to realize it's a sign of insult. In this segment, we'll explore the most misunderstood hand gestures worldwide and laugh at the awkward situations they've created. The struggle of understanding accents on a call. The beauty of technology allows us to connect with anyone, anywhere. But sometimes, the struggle of understanding accents over the phone can be real. Whether it's a thick British accent or a rapid-fire Spanish dialect, We'll share our funniest phone call moments where we misinterpreted every other word and ended up with a completely wrong order. How mispronouncing a word can change the entire meaning. Mispronouncing a word in another language or accent is like playing with fire. It can either spark a laugh or cause an international incident. From English to Spanish to Italian, we'll explore how one misplaced syllable has the potential to change a conversation in ways that you didn't expect. Why people apologize too much in some cultures. Some cultures have a built-in sorry machine. From the Japanese bow to the Indian apology for everything, we'll dive into why people from certain cultures apologize excessively and whether or not this habit has a place in other societies. Small talk, why it's a skill and a survival tactic. It's often said that small talk is an art form. In many cultures, it's a survival tactic in social settings. Ever find yourself stuck in an elevator with someone who's determined to ask about your day, your family, and your favorite sandwich? Small talk is sometimes awkward, often necessary, and always a key to smooth communication in cross-cultural situations. The art of navigating language barriers with just hand signals. When words fail, gestures come to the rescue. Whether you're pointing to an object, mimicking an action, or simply trying to convey that you need a toilet, hand signals are universal. We'll share some hilarious stories of misused hand signals that led to confusion, but also some creative ways to bridge language barriers without saying a word. When Google Translate makes you sound like a poet, or a fool. We've all been there, relying on Google Translate for something important, only for it to turn your perfectly normal sentence into a hilarious jumble of words. We'll laugh at the funniest Google Translate mishaps and discuss how to use this tool to avoid embarrassing blunders while traveling. The importance of saving face in communication around the world. In many cultures, saving face is crucial to maintaining dignity and respect. We'll explore how misunderstandings can arise when people from cultures with different views on saving face interact and how humor can help defuse the most awkward situations. Digital communication follies. When spell check betrays you mid-sentence. Real-life social media. Picture this: you're typing out a professional email, carefully crafting each word, when your spell check steps in. Did you mean ducking instead of something else? You stare at your screen in disbelief, panicking before hitting send. We'll dive into how autocorrect functions as both a friend and an enemy, with some funny, real-life examples of how it's ruined lives, or at least email correspondence. Key takeaway: spell check isn't always your friend. Always proofread, especially when you're sending important messages. Why typing in all caps makes you look angry. Ever wonder why that all caps message makes you look like you're screaming at someone? It's not just the message, it's the digital tone. Let's explore why typing in all caps can make your message come off as aggressive and how to use tone effectively in your digital communication. Example: imagine a professional social media message coming across as "I'm very interested in this opportunity," when you really meant to sound enthusiastic. Key takeaway: caps lock equals yelling. Use it sparingly. Email sign-offs: why everyone just says best. Is it just me, or does everyone sign off their emails with just best? We'll explore the mystery of email sign-offs, why we all default to best, or sometimes thanks, when we didn't really do anything worth thanking for, and how this tiny digital habit has become the norm across the world. How emojis can save or ruin your message. Emojis are our new universal language, but are they helping or hindering? A smiling emoji in a business email might seem casual, but it could come off as unprofessional. We'll look at how different cultures perceive emojis and how they can save your message, or completely ruin it. Example: that time you tried to end a professional text with a winking emoji and immediately regretted it. Key takeaway: emojis are powerful, but be careful how you use them. Context is key. The panic of sending an email without an attachment. We've all had that heart-stopping moment where you realize, mid-sentence, that you forgot to attach the document you just mentioned. We'll dive into strategies to avoid this common mistake and share some funny instances where this happened at the worst possible moment. When you accidentally hit send before finishing your sentence. There's no digital disaster like hitting send before finishing your message. We'll share some hilarious examples of incomplete thoughts and the awkward follow-up emails to try and save face after you've made a digital faux pas. Example, I'll get that report to you right away. Send. How social media messages always sound like sales pitches. Social media, the place where networking meets sales pitch. Have you ever tried to build a connection only to feel like you're reading a poorly written cold email? Let's break down the art of crafting a real connection and how to avoid sounding like a walking, talking sales brochure. Why online dating profiles are all about loving to travel. This one's for all the dating app users out there. Have you ever noticed how every profile says "I love to travel"? Let's explore why this is the most overused phrase in online dating, and what people really mean when they say it. Key takeaway: keep your dating profile unique and avoid cliches like "adventure awaits." The struggle of deciding whether to use a GIF or emoji in a reply. Should you go with a thumbs up emoji, or is a GIF more appropriate to convey your reaction? We'll discuss the eternal struggle of choosing between emojis, GIFs, and text responses. When you say too much in a text and get left unread. This is the modern version of awkward silence. You pour your heart into a text message and then get left unread. What does it mean? How do you move past it without feeling like you've overshared? We'll delve into digital communication etiquette and how to avoid over-communicating. Public speaking and face-to-face conversations. How public speaking turns everyone into a nervous sweater. Social media share the experience of getting up to speak at an event and suddenly feeling like you're about to break into a sweat. The sensation of being under the spotlight can make even the most confident person feel like they're about to pass out. Tip: breathing exercises and mental tricks to calm nerves before stepping onto the stage. When you forget the name of the person you're talking to. Social media, we've all been there. That awkward pause when you recognize someone, but for the life of you, you can't remember their name. Tip: a funny but effective way to deal with this: "Hey, it's been a while, remind me of your name again." How eye contact feels like a challenge during conversations. Social media ever had that moment where maintaining eye contact feels like you're staring into someone's soul? Eye contact is one of the most awkward aspects of speaking with people face to face, especially during uncomfortable silences. Tip: gently shift focus to their eyebrows or the bridge of their nose when eye contact feels too intense. Why small talk is the secret weapon in networking. Social media small talk gets a bad rap, but it's the unsung hero in making connections. Share a funny story about a small talk conversation that turned into something productive. Tip: embrace small talk as a strategy. It breaks the ice and often leads to deeper conversations later. The horror of realizing you've been talking too much in a meeting. Social media: the moment you realize you've been going on and everyone's staring at you like, please, for the love of all that's good, let it end. Tip: how to manage speaking time and create space for others in meetings. Practice brevity without cutting off important points. Why group presentations are always a mess. Social media: there's always that one person who goes off script, leaving everyone scrambling to catch up or looking lost on stage. Tip: coordinate your team and have a clear plan in place to avoid confusion during group presentations. The awkwardness of repeating yourself because someone didn't hear you. Social media: how frustrating is it when someone asks you to repeat yourself for the third time, even though your original answer was perfectly clear? Tip: stay calm, repeat with a smile, and if it happens too often, politely ask if they need a private conversation. When someone asks a question you weren't prepared for. Social media: the ultimate panic moment. Someone asks a question you're totally unprepared to answer. The awkward silence feels like it lasts forever. Tip: strategies for buying time. Example: that's a great question, let me think about that for a moment. How body language says more than words. Social media body language can make or break a conversation. Ever had someone cross their arms and look at you with a furrowed brow? Instant clue they're not into what you're saying. Tip: learn the power of nonverbal communication and how to read it. Why nobody can handle awkward silences in conversations. Social media: the longest 5 seconds of your life when you're both sitting there, waiting for someone to speak, but neither one of you has anything to say. Tip: use a bit of humor or a quirky comment to break the silence and keep the conversation moving. Funny communication lessons. The difference between talking and actually saying something. We've all been there, rambling on and then realizing that we didn't actually say anything of substance. Why do we sometimes say things without meaning to communicate at all? It's like we've mastered the art of sounding busy but not really making an impact. We'll unpack this with some funny real-life examples from work meetings and social gatherings. Why listening is harder than talking. Have you ever tried to listen to someone talk, only to zone out halfway through? Well, it turns out listening might actually be harder than talking. It requires concentration, patience, and most importantly, the ability to keep your face neutral when you're really thinking about lunch. We'll share funny stories about the struggle of active listening in our fast-paced world. When you realize communication is 80% guesswork. Ever found yourself in a conversation where you're just trying to guess what the other person is really saying? We all rely on context, body language, and facial expressions to fill in the blanks. Communication, it seems, is often a game of fill in the gaps. But sometimes, those gaps are just too big. Let's laugh about the times we misinterpreted conversations in hilarious ways. The importance of tone even when saying good morning. Ever walked into the office and said, "Good morning," only to be met with a "Yeah, morning"? Tone is everything. A greeting can go from cheerful to sarcastic with just a little change in tone. We'll explore how tone affects not only our daily interactions but also how our emotions play a role in how we communicate. Why "let me get back to you" is everyone's favorite escape line. If you're ever caught off guard by a question you don't know how to answer, just say, "Let me get back to you on that." It's the perfect escape line. Everyone uses it to buy time or avoid confrontation. But why does it work so well? We'll explore why this phrase has become the unofficial language of the modern workplace and social situations. When silence says more than words. Ever been in a room full of people and felt that uncomfortable silence? That silence often says more than any words ever could. Whether it's in a meeting or a conversation, we'll dive into the funny and sometimes awkward moments when silence is the loudest part of the communication. How we all speak differently to our pets. Whether you're guilty of baby talking to your dog or explaining your day to your cat, we all speak to our pets in a way we'd never speak to humans. It's a funny yet heartwarming look at how our tone and words shift when we talk to animals compared to people. Why people prefer texting over calling even for urgent matters. Texting has become the preferred communication method even when we're in a rush. Why do we avoid phone calls so much? We'll explore the hilarious reality of texting people for answers to questions you could easily ask in a 30-second phone call. How communication is just an art of managing misunderstandings. Let's face it, most conversations aren't about clarity, they're about managing misunderstandings. In the age of emoji-filled texts and autocorrect fails, we'll look at how often what we meant to say gets completely lost in translation. The journey from confusion to clarification is often more entertaining than we realize. When saying sorry becomes the only word you use. We've all been in those situations where sorry is the only word that seems to escape our lips. Whether it's for accidentally bumping into someone or interrupting, we all have our sorry moments. But when is it too much? And why do we feel the need to apologize for things that don't even require an apology? How a good conversation can save your day. Let's wrap it up with a heartwarming story of how one good conversation can turn your entire day around. Whether it's a chat with a friend or a meaningful talk with a colleague, The power of a good conversation is real and can make all the difference. Disclaimer. The content in this video is intended for humorous and entertainment purposes only. All scenarios, characters, and events depicted are exaggerated for comedic effect and do not reflect actual individuals or situations. Any resemblance to real-life communication mishaps is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised, and we encourage responsible communication both online and offline. The creators of this video are not liable for any accidental texting wars, office mishaps, or family drama that may arise from watching. Please enjoy the laughs responsibly.